This page was created to teach Black history. Unfortunately, the American educational system was designed to exclude our real historical account, so we are here to dismantle it. It's time to enlighten those of us who have been kept in the dark. I am a Black man who didn't know enough about my own history, so I began to dig deeper and do my own research. Black history is American history, so I want people of all races and cultures to join together to learn our history as one. Here, I will share all of my findings. Please like, follow, share, and subscribe to Teaching Black History. The story of Daisy Lee Bates. Daisy Bates was born on November 11th, 1914, to father Ezekiel Gatson and mother Millie Riley. She grew up in southern Arkansas in a small town. Mr. Gatson supported the family by working as a lumber grader in a local mill. Her mother was murdered when Daisy was an infant, and the girl was given for care to her mother's close friends, Orly Smith, a World War I veteran, and his wife Susie Smith. Her father abandoned her, and Daisy never saw him again. Bates recounted learning at the age of 8 that her birth mother had been raped and murdered by 3 local white men, and her body thrown into a mill pond where it was later discovered. Learning that no one was prosecuted for her mother's murder stoked Daisy's anger about injustice. Her adopted father, Orly Smith, told her that the killers were never found and that the police showed little interest in the case. Daisy wanted vengeance. She later wrote, "My life now had a secret goal, to find the men who had done this horrible thing to my mother." She eventually identified one of her mother's killers. At a commissary, she stumbled upon a gaze from a young white man that would imply that he was involved. After this interaction, Daisy would go there often to belittle the drunken man with just her eyes. The young man later pleaded with Daisy, "In the name of God, please leave me alone." He drank himself to death and was found in an alleyway. She began to hate white people. Out of concern and hope, her adopted father gave her some advice from his deathbed. "You're filled with hatred. Hate can destroy you, Daisy. Don't hate white people just because they're white. If you hate, make it count for something. Hate the humiliations we are living under in the South. Hate the discrimination that eats away at the South. Hate the discrimination that eats away at the soul of every Black man and woman. Hate the insults hurled at us by white scum, and then try to do something about it, or your hate won't spell a thing." Bates said she had never forgotten that. She believed that this memory supported her strength for leadership in the cause of civil rights. Bates' childhood included attendance in segregated public schools where she learned firsthand the poor conditions to which Black students were exposed. Daisy was 17 when she started dating Lucius Christopher Bates, an insurance salesman who had also worked on newspapers in the South and West. He was still married but divorced his first wife in 1941 before moving to Little Rock and started the Arkansas State Press. Daisy and L.C. Bates married on March 4th, 1942. In 1952, Daisy Bates was elected president of the Arkansas Conference of the NAACP branches. After their move to Little Rock, the Bates decided to act on a dream of theirs, the ownership of a newspaper. They leased a print plant that belonged to a church publication and integrated the Arkansas State Press, a weekly statewide newspaper. The first issue appeared on May 9th, 1941. The paper became an avid voice for civil rights even before a nationally recognized movement had emerged. Daisy Bates was later recognized as a co-publisher of the paper. Bates became president of the Arkansas Conference of Branches in 1952 at the age of 38. She remained active and was the national board of the NAACP until 1970. Due to her position in the NAACP, Bates' personal life was threatened much of the time. In her autobiography, Bates discussed her life as a president of the NAACP in Arkansas. As president of the NAACP State Conference of Branches and as the publicized leader of the integration movement in Arkansas, I was singled out for speech treatment. 2 flaming crosses were burned on our property. The first, a 6-foot gasoline-soaked structure, was stuck into our front lawn just after dusk. At the base of the cross was scrolled, "Go back to Africa, KKK." The second cross was placed against the front of our house, lit, and the flames began to catch. Fortunately, the fire was discovered by a neighbor and was extinguished, yet before any serious damage had been done. As the leader of the NAACP branch in Arkansas, Bates guided and advised the 9 students, known as the Little Rock 9, when they attempted to enroll in 1957 at Little Rock Central High School, a previous all-white institution. The students' attempts to enroll provoked a confrontation with Governor Orville Fubus, who called out the National Guard to prevent their entry. The Guard only let the white students to pass the school gate. 8 students out of the 9 were asked to go back home. One student, Elizabeth Eckford, didn't receive the message from Daisy Bates the previous night and was met by a white mob outside the school as she tried to find the other 8 students in that morning. Bates not only wanted the black students to receive the same level of education as white students, but she also wanted to make it her job for all races to have the same equality of education. Martin Luther King Jr. sent a telegram on September 1957 regarding the Central High School and Little Rock 9 crisis. King's purpose was to encourage Bates to adhere to a way of nonviolence, despite being terrorized, stoned, and threatened by ruthless mobs. He assured her, "World opinion is with you. The moral conscience of millions of white Americans is with you." The Bates' involvement in the Little Rock crisis resulted in the loss of advertising revenue to their newspaper, and it was forced to close in 1959. In 1965, she suffered a stroke, and L.C. Bates, her husband, died in 1980. Bates revived the Arkansas State Press in 1984. Little Rock, Arkansas paid perhaps the ultimate tribute, not only to Bates, but to the new era she helped initiate by opening Daisy Bates Elementary School and by making the 3rd Monday in February George Washington's birthday and Daisy Gatson Bates Day an official state holiday. Bates died in Arkansas on November 4th, 1999.